today, which is titled Champions Inspiring Excellence. And I would like to introduce to you Marie Lewis. And Marie is a registered nurse with over 30 years of experience. She is a dedicated leader in healthcare with a diverse background, spanning long-term care, hospital, and community settings. She brings expertise in care delivery, leadership, and ensuring quality service of excellence. Marie holds a Master of Health Management and a Certified Health Executive designation. Marie is committed to professional excellence. In her leadership journey, she has enjoyed serving as a clinical manager, a care coordinator with the Mississauga Halton Lynn, and as a clinical director and director of care in long-term care. Currently, Marie serves as the nurse specialist with the Region of Peel's Practice, Innovation, and Education team within the Division of Health Services Long-Term Care. In this role, she supports Peel's 5 long-term care homes by providing professional expertise and guidance to the nursing teams and clinical programs. Additionally, within her role, Marie is involved in developing and maintaining operational processes, policies grounded in research, evidence-based practice, and regulatory requirements. Marie is passionate about fostering environments that prioritize the well-being of both staff and of all the residents in long-term care. Welcome, Marie. It is a pleasure to have you here with us today. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Julianne. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction and to RNAO for this opportunity to present and share today. Just going to take control of that. Okay, I'd like to commence with the objectives for this presentation. Today, I will share my experience of a best practice success story in long-term care. From my presentation, I'm hoping to offer some insights on showcasing implemented best practice guidelines, engagement and recruitment of champions, as well as providing and sharing some strategies and practical approaches that other organizations can adopt to elevate champions and enhance care. For a brief background of who we are at the Region of Peel, the Region of Peel is the second largest municipality in Ontario with a population of over 1.5 million. The region operates 5 long-term care centers, 2 in Mississauga, 2 in Brampton, and 1 in Caledon. The Region of Peel has been a best practice spotlight organization, or BPSO, for over 10 years, and we have 5 sites and have implemented 11 best practice guidelines. We are a multi-site BPSO encompassing 5 long-term care homes with 703 beds across the 5 homes. This slide is a breakdown of our 5 long-term care homes. Oftentimes, you'll hear us refer to our long-term care homes as centers, and that's because within each long-term care home, we also provide fully operating adult day services or adult day centers as part of our senior services division. For a brief rundown of our homes, we first have our Seniors Health and Wellness Village at Peel Manor, here on the slide. That's located in Brampton. This is a brand new home. They opened just in November last year, just a few months ago. It's a 177-bed long-term care home, which also includes community-based services on the ground floor, such as a dental clinic for lower-income seniors, a demo kitchen, a cafe, therapy suite, bathing facilities, and respite suites. Our second home on the list is Tall Pines, also in Brampton, which has 160 beds. Our next 2 homes, Malton Village and Sheridan Villa, are both located in Mississauga. Malton Village with 160 beds and Sheridan Villa with 142. And last but not least, we have Davis Centre, a 64-bed home in Caledon, Ontario. As mentioned in the intro slide, the Region of Peel has been a best practice spotlight organization for 10 years. This is a picture of a few Region of Peel members who attended the RNAO AGM last year to be recognized for our 10 years as a BPSO. Some of the members here include an administrator, DOCs, some supervisors of care, and yes, I'm also in the picture. Moving on, the Region of Peel has implemented 11 best practice guidelines over the past 10 years. In brief, these guidelines include assessment and management of pain, assessment and management of pressure injuries for the interprofessional team, cultural diversity, intraprofessional collaborative practice among nursing teams, person-centered care, abuse and neglect, preventing falls and injuries, professionalism in nursing, risk assessment and prevention of pressure ulcers, practice education in nursing, and promoting 2S LGBTQI+ health equity. Part of how we're able to implement, disseminate, evaluate, and sustain best practices within the Region of Peel is due to a collaborative approach. This infrastructure for the Region of Peel is just a snapshot of some of the members involved, from senior leadership at the top to frontline teams and even the business offices within the homes. Teams work together, moving up and down and all around within this infrastructure by communicating what guidelines are being implemented or have been implemented, disseminating that information, and using teams within this infrastructure to help with evaluation and sustainability of best practices and any changes and approaches made to practice. The directors of care at each long-term care home have the important role of being the site coordinators for each best practice guideline. I thought I'd share here where we are at Peel with our champion recruitment. Currently, across the 5 homes, 17% of staff are best practice champions. 30% of that 17% are nurses and 12% are non-nursing champions. Recruitment of champions is still a work in progress to meet our 20% requirement as a designated BPSO. So last year we thought, we're celebrating 10 years as a BPSO and we have 11 best practice guidelines that we've implemented. What can we do to celebrate and showcase all of this, as well as our champions who have helped to implement and sustain these practices? How about mini symposiums? So earlier last year, we had submitted an abstract to take part in the annual RNAO Knowledge Exchange Symposium. So we thought, how about holding our own mini symposiums on a smaller scale? The planning started. Goals were created for these mini symposiums. They were to showcase the 11 implemented BPGs, showcase our champions, increase awareness of evidence-based practices within the homes, and of course, recruit new champions. So, as the BPSO lead for the Region of Peel, I got on this. In collaboration with my advisor and manager, I promoted the idea for the homes to hold mini symposiums and get them pumped about the idea. I attended director of care peer group meetings, divisional leadership meetings, some staff meetings, and sent memos and emails. The mini symposium idea was becoming a reality. I was able to get the communications department on board, who were able to create some signage and digital posters for the events. Leadership in the homes were on board. They chose dates for their mini symposium and created their own posters internally, informing staff, residents, and families of details for their event. Our wonderful RNAO implementation coach, Danny Savinkov, informed us that RNAO offers an open house funding of $1,000 that we could apply for, and if approved, use toward these mini symposium events. We did just that. We applied and were approved for the funding. Empowering, engaging our champions for these mini symposiums was essential. I was put in contact with a vendor who could create customized t-shirts. We chose a color and a design. All the homes ordered t-shirts for their champions to help build visibility and recognize their champions. Homes also created their own certificates of appreciation for their champions, which many presented at their mini symposium. To boost morale, networking, and recognition, all homes decided to provide food, treats, and prizes as part of their mini symposium. Surprisingly, each home either had a huge cake celebrating our 10 years as a BPSO or dozens of decorated cupcakes to eat. Champions were fully on board and were very creative in developing prizes and takeaways for their events, such as the water bottle, popcorn, chocolate bar basket seen in this slide. Between August and September last year, 2024, the mini symposiums took place. This slide shows several of the best practice displays created across the symposiums. Apart from the 11 best practice guidelines, the homes also showcased other evidence-based practices and approaches to care, such as IPAC and our emotion-based care butterfly model. So, were these symposiums a success? Indeed, I would say 4 of our 5 long-term care homes held a mini symposium. Over 250 participants, which included staff, residents, and families, attended, and that's just from who filled out the attendance forms. Across the homes, 106 people signed up to be champions. And overall, we had 94 post-event feedback forms completed and returned, with the majority providing high feedback ratings. For this slide, I've got 2 short video clips. The first short video doesn't have any sound to it. I just wanted to show the digital signage that was created by our communications department to promote the mini symposiums, which would have been broadcasted on screens in elevators or other areas in the home with a TV or digital screens. And then the second video is a 1-minute clip of the mini symposium that took place at our Tall Pines long-term care home. Enjoy. Okay, and now for the video at Tall Pines. Whoops. Okay, so this next slide is a picture of the teams of champions from the 4 homes. These champions either participated or were part of the development of these mini symposiums. And yes, we've got both RNAO implementation coaches, Danny, and our backup coach, Jen Bahun, in the photos as well. Okay, lessons learned in feedback. From the feedback forms, we were able to gather information of what people liked most about the events, liked least about the events, and we also asked participants to provide us with one thing they learned during the event. I won't go through every item here, but a few items of what they liked most about the events were food. I mean, food and treats came up several times. the friendly atmosphere, the involvement of residents, and the information that was provided. Some of the comments of what people liked least about the events were some found it too loud, some found it too short, someone didn't like the Sprite that was served, and someone said it was too busy. And one comment did say, perhaps we could have had even more displays. And some of the responses, for one thing, participants learned at the events included learning what a champion is. They learned about unconscious bias. They learned not to cut MEPALEX with borders, and learned about the types of abuse. This feedback and lessons learned will help guide improvements to process and make changes for our future events. Although we've always had a sustainability plan which continues, there's always the opportunity to reflect and look at different ways and approaches in sustaining and improving best practices and practice changes within the homes. For our sustainability plan, we will continue to build capacity within the homes with ongoing champion recruitment and training, knowing that it really is our champions, these change agents that help disseminate and implement these best practice guidelines. Continue to recognize and engage our champions across the homes. We will continue with multidisciplinary involvement in collaboration with our residents and families, which the mini symposiums provided a great venue for that collaboration. We will continue to sustain best practices with ongoing communication and having support from our leaders internally and with external partners such as RNAO, pharmacy, and our vendors to help support, promote, and sustain evidence-based practice. The last 3 bullets I have asterisked, as these are opportunities to improve on across the organization. Connecting champions. Yes, there are champions at each of the 5 homes, but do they know of each other? Next, obtaining and providing continuous feedback and evaluation from both champions and leaders within the homes on how effectively champions are being used within the homes and applying their knowledge to practice. And lastly, to sustain practice and change, part of our sustainability planning will be to focus on keeping the momentum. Again, how do we continue to motivate not just our champions, but our teams to be involved, want to be involved, and become champions? From the mini symposiums, we had 106 people sign up to be champions across the 4 homes. So in October, both Danny and Jen from RNAO came in and provided an in-person 1-day champion training day. It was well done and very engaging. We were able in a 1-day session to have 37 people certified as champions by the end of that day. Personally, highly recommend this route for champion training if your implementation coach is able to do an in-person session. Our homes are already asking for more sessions. And last but not least, some key takeaways from my story and experience. Remember, champions are needed to drive sustainable change. Multi-team, family, and resident collaboration, along with recognition of those who contribute to best practices, is essential. And finally, the use of creative approaches and strategies to elevate teams and practices in your homes can help create your own success story. I'm going to leave you now with one last short video from the mini symposium that took place at our Peel Manor long-term care home. They hadn't moved into their new home yet, so this was at the old site. They were an outbreak in one of their home areas, but they were able to pull it off, and it was wonderful. So enjoy, and thank you all so much for spending the time with me and allowing me to share my story. I'll just start the video.
That was amazing, Marie. Thank you so much. Very well done. Such an amazing story of what you and your team have done. 10 years. That's wonderful.